Hello friends, welcome back. So we are seeing about Argo CD. So we were seeing about how to deploy the application, and last video we have seen how to install the CLI and how to add a cluster and a few other basic commands. So today we'll see about the very important things about Argo CD with the CLI. So today we'll see about uh, Argo CD CLI to manage the applications and repositories. So we'll see that how we can do that. So this is my Argo CD now. So I don't have anything set here. You can see my Argo CD is just empty. So I'm not going to do anything much on the UI. So rather I will be preferring to run everything on the CLI mode, right? So that is what intention here. So we'll be start referring this blog. So this is a preferer for the people who just to read, rather they want to see about the who is not preferable to watch the videos, so they can do either reading or they can watch it. So this video, so we are having a prerequisite is, so you should have a Argo CD up and running and you should have a CLI installed. If you don't have, please refer this article and you can install it on your environment, right? So I'll be adding this in the description, please refer it. And let's start one by one. So I'll be go through one by one, like how to add a repositories and how to create application from that particular repositories, and also we'll see how to manage that. So manage in the sense how we can see about more details, particular resource, or how to remove that in case we don't want to maintain for a long time, right? So these are the requirements. So we'll be seeing that in the coming coming sessions, right? So yeah, let's start. So first let's start about repositories, because without repositories we can't add applications. So we covered cluster last session, because without cluster there is nothing can be done process, because we need to deploy everything on the clusters, right? So that is only in case you are managing external clusters, but if you are doing maintaining everything on the same cluster, you don't need to do anything. But in case, right, so keep it that in mind. Okay, so let's start now. Let's start now with some basic commands. So as we know about Argo CD is installed, and we have already confirmed, so we have our Argo CD is up and running. Let's confirm, is it the one we are using? So how to use that? So we can check that via either running a service command. So how to check the service command? We see CD, that is my IP address, it should show for the Argo server. Yes, right. So we are running on the same server. That's perfect. So now we have Argo CD is running, and let's do that. Next step is like let's log into the Argo CD. So without that we can't do any operation, as we've seen already. So we need to take that IP address, and I'm gonna say the username is admin again. I don't have a local user, I'm going to use a default user. So it will ask me to give the S, as I don't have a server certificate, and the password, right? So it should be here around. I mean, okay. So now we logged into the Argo CD now. So let's start adding a repository. So before adding a repositories, what are the way we can add it, right? So you can see it in the UI, it shows what are the ways you can add it. So you can add HTTPS, or if you want to add it as SSH key or GTAP app, anything you can do based on your requirement or based on your preference. We'll see today the two demos. One is like HTTPS, one is for the SSH, right? So let's start adding that. So first thing I want to try for that SSH one. So for that, I'm going to take my repositories, which is my Kubernetes folder. Okay, I'm going to copy SSH here. Okay, so that's what my SSH does. And one more thing, before doing SSH, one thing you should do it first. you should create this RSA key for that. So hope you may know about it. So if you are not, so you can run such keys and command. So it will help you to create a RSA keys. So I have already RSA keys, so I'm not going to create. So I'm just going to say yes, but it will ask me to override. So I'm not going to override, but your case, it will be different. So you should give the details in clear. Okay. So my RSA path is this. I'm going to use this path for my authentication here, right? So now let's add that repository and see we can add it. So Argo CD repo add, right? So this is just again which resource you are doing and what operation you are performing. Argo CD is a standard prefix how everywhere, but next is resource name and what is resource name and what is the action you are doing. So now actually the URL comes to the picture. So let me copy it again my this, right. So and I should give the path for my SSH key. So for that I should say SSH hyphen private hyphen path, right. So this is the path and this is my actual path, right. I'm going to say add this. Perfect. So let's see, is it added properly? So for that you can run Argo repo list. So we are good with this. So let's check it once in the UI also. Is it added in the UI correctly? See, yes, we successfully added this using JIT and we didn't named it, but let's see on the other one, like we can name it. Okay. So we are good in this. Now let me add one more thing like okay, so I forgot one thing. If you are doing RSA key, you should always make sure your such key is added to your repositories. In case if you are using a GitHub or Bitbucket, anything, so you should have an option to add it. If you don't have, please check the documentation of repositories, proper documentation. And here, if you go to settings, here you go. So in this section, you should add your SSH keys if you're okay. So this is for GitHub and it may differs for the Bitbucket, if it differs for the GitLab and whatever the Git account you are using, it differs. So next thing what we have to do next is like see, we have seen about SSH what key, right? So we are not always preferable to use SSH keys. Some case we need to use our username and password. So we'll see that. And before that, if you have any kind of special ports, you can call the special ports here. And if you have any kind of SSL issues like SSL certificate issues, you want to skip the authentication, skip server verification, you can use this. Maybe it's roots for our internal repository. Some case may not have a signed certificate. So on that time, you can use it for the lower environment for probably this course, right? All right, so next we need to, let's try for the username and password. What I'm going to do is same repo, I'm going to add it again, or I will find another repo here. So for that, what we have to do, we have to take a token. So without tokens, GitHub doesn't allow you to log in. So what you have to do, so go to your settings and go to your developer settings and go for the personal access token, right? So I'm going to create a new token here. So before that, it's asking me to authenticate. I have password already set. Right. I'm gonna give up purpose Argo CD repo add. I don't want for much days, 7 days. I'm gonna give everything. Everything like a workflow. I don't want. Write a package, delete a package, no admin. No gist, no notification, no users, no discussion, no enterprise, no project, let it be, no GPG key. Okay, I am creating this and please make sure you are copying this. Okay, so otherwise you can't see it again, you may need to delete it, right? So you need to recreate it. So to avoid that, please make sure you are doing proper way. So this time, let me save it somewhere for my reference. And before that, we have to add a repository, right? So again, Argo CD repo add. And now I want another repo. So let me go on pick my another repo which has a Kubernetes files. which will use it. Let me see, take on this, and I'm gonna take again HTTPS as I told. So I'm copying HTTPS repositories and I'm putting here. Next, I should use a username and password, right? So for that, I need to type username. My username is FoxuTech, and next is a password. So password is nothing but what we copied just now. I'm gonna put it here. So this you can follow for any repositories. This is for the GitHub, or if you are a GitLab, just change the URL, or if you're using a Bitbucket, you can use change the URL, give the temps like this, and this should allow you to do the add. Okay, so this is the take on Kubernetes, right? Let's verify in the UI. We can see that again now. That should be good. Yeah. Okay, we can see this now. Okay, one more thing I have forgot, but no problem. So what I'll do, I have another repository in the Bitbucket, which is non-authenticated, like anonymous access enabled. So I'm going to add that, and let me name it, right? Argo CD repo add, and the URL we can copy it from the repo, go to the Bitbucket and clone it. So I'm going to command. Don't have any username password, so I'm not going to give any such. Let's see what it throws. I'm going to name it like a bit. Right. So it's telling it's authentication required. I have authenticated already. Let's see, we can add our such keys here. Repository settings, access key. Right, so let's try to add now my switch keys here. So let's do for repositories. It's taking a bit time. So now if you refresh, you can name it with your repository name. So you should give a tag called -hyphen name, right? So now we had it here. So let's check this Argo CD here. You can list it like this, or if you want to list as a JSON file, you can just list like this. Same goes for YAML. So now what we can do, so let's remove this as we don't want this repositories. So we can remove this. Argo CD repo rm and name. So you can remove it using rm section, and what are the name you want to give, you can just name it. So this is for the Git repositories, and the same goes for the Helm. So one of the another repository what we can do is Helm. So you can follow the same method, like you can list it and what is the type. Only thing we have to give a type, but Git it's optional. But when you are using a Helm, please make sure you are giving a type as Helm, right? And other thing is you can follow it, and if you want to use GitHub Labs or GitHub applications, so you have to follow some additional things. So you can refer this and you can add it. So list we have seen, and we can get the details about the particular repositories. So for that, list. Let's check about this repository, how it's connected. Just see like this. Even this one you can output as a JSON file or YAML. So on your fronts, you can see in details what is the status, everything. You have to track it. Right. So this is on the repositories. We have set all the repositories, and once we refresh, we can see what is available repository at last. So next we have to go for the application creation. So here we're gonna create some couple of application and see that is it creating on the UA or not. So for that, I'm gonna use first like a common repository path. Like I'm not going to use which is here, but I'll show you like in open source way how we can do that. So Argo CD. I'm gonna create a sample book. I'm gonna give a repo as Argo CD has a own repository for some examples. I'm going to use that for example. The path is it should be guest destination server. So please make sure you are giving a cluster name correctly, otherwise it may throw you the error. So my case, like I'm going to use a default one. I'm not going to change anything else. So I don't have any cluster at this moment. And what is the namespace you want to deploy the application, right? So you should always mention. So I'm going to deploy it on the default only. I'm not going to change different namespaces. So here you go. Okay. So now the application is ready. Let's see that CD app list. And you can see still the status is out of sync, as we know that whenever we are creating application, the first time application will be in out of sync, we should sync it manually, right? Until we are enabling auto sync is enabled. So we have to perform manually. So let's do that. So for that, you can even use the CLI sync and application name. When you do so, it's trying to sync that application and say it says. So what you can do, you no need to rush to perform any other options. You can say there is a wait option is available, which will wait until the application comes for sync and healthy. Right now it's healthy, so it came fast. Some application it may take little long, so that time you may need to wait for until it completes or it gets synced. So let's check in the UF once again. Is it successful or not? Okay. So you can see it's synced and it's deploying deployed the applications, right? So we have seen about the application list and application details. Let's see about application details. So Argo CD app get book. You can see about the application, which cluster it's hosted and what is the path for your application, which repo it's using. And this is a path reference and what is the status, right? So let's create one more application, which is from, let's take it from our repositories rather in general reference. So for that, app create test app. Let's test this tab, and the repo is again our again the repo what we added. Why it's mandatory? Because we should be the repository should be authenticated. In that case, Argo CD cannot read that application without authentication, right? So it may fail to authenticate. So that's why we should add it before we are doing any operations. So my case again, my destination server is same what I used. And even space I'm going to use same. And list. So again, we have application with out of sync. Let's check it on the UA also once again. Okay, so we have healthy, but it's not synced. So let's sync it before we go further. Sync this tab. So application is synced. We have synced the application and it's coming up, and we can, let's see the app list again. Now it's created another 3 app as we created app in app. So you can see it here again, this all like out of sync. So we are not going to touch it again. So let it be like this. So as the scope of this tutorial is not for that. So we have created the application and we have seen, and if you are using a different applications like a helm repo, we have seen, but when you are using a kustomize or if you are using a jsonnet, the pattern is different. Please follow as per your need. So we don't have a kustomize or jsonnet app now, but we'll see in the future we can add it. Okay. So app list we have seen, and even you can filter via some labels. If you have labels, you can filter with that. So now let's try to delete that applications. So which application? Let's delete helm book. CD. Delete its helm book. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes, I want to delete. Okay, so it's asking confirmation and it's deleted it. Diff. So diff which matters when you have multiple versions. So that time you can use this diff and see the difference. But our case, it's the same application we are using across, so we don't have any such options. So get we have seen already. So on history, right? So let's see history of the application. History of test app. I'm going to do that. We don't have much versions, but when you do have a multiple versions, you will have a multiple revisions over here. Okay, so what helps here, so it will help you to roll back to the previous version in case there is any issues. You don't need to go to the UI and perform any kind of operations. So like you can see it here, history and rollback. So that's what it helps in the CLI also. So if you want to see the manifest of for the application, you can see the manifest using manifest actions, and if you want to check the logs and histories, you can do show with the appropriate actions. And the patch is something like you want to change any path. So for example, our case, let's say like we want to change sometimes we need to change our paths of application. So we are maintaining Argo CD test apps, but in case you are moving to something like Argo CD ABC apps, so you have to change this path. And in that case, you don't need to again perform anything there. You can use the CLI and you can just patch it up with the new paths. So here again the reference, we can use this. Okay, so rollback, you need to give the which rollback version. So this value will come from the history command. So from the history, you have to get the rollback details and the rollback applications. Sync we have seen, and if you want to sync all the labels applications, you can use the labels, or you want to go with some resource, particular resource with a service or something you want to sync, you can perform that even single resources using single resource name tag. Okay, and as we seen wait, so wait is for the until the sync completes application will be failing. So we with this you will achieve this. The application will wait until this sync is complete. Okay, so this may needed with the larger set of applications which is taking a long time to deploy, but mostly all the JIT applications deploys quickly. Okay, so yeah, hope this is useful. Thank you.